Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. Such a pleasure to have you here with us at the London Film Festival. Maybe you could begin with a brief introduction to this wonderful documentary for people who don't know anything about it. What can they expect?
Yes, it's Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. It is the story of the iconic actor who, as everyone knows, had an accident, became a quadriplegic, and it's the whole roller coaster of his life, and it's a very emotional story.
Yes, hello, I'm Lizzie Gillett, producer of Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. This is Robert Ford, one of my co-producers. And yeah, this film, it's got the highs and the lows of Christopher's life, everything about his Superman, how he became Superman, what happened with his family. It's really a story of love and family and how to be a true hero.
You know, such a well-known name, particularly for his role as Superman. But why was now the right time to tell this story? I believe his family really wanted to find, I guess the right people to collaborate with this on this story. And so what do you think it was that made this the right moment and you the right people to collaborate with?
Well, it was about 3 years ago now when an archive producer called Daniel Kilroy had the idea, and he approached the Reeve family and asked them if they had any tapes, and they'd thought about making a documentary. They had vaguely thought about it over the years, but they're very kind of go-getters. They're busy people, the three kids. And it was only at that moment that they had sorted their house and their archive tapes, so they realized maybe this could be the right time. And they said, if you find the right team, we will make this documentary with you.
Yeah, the film was in production for about 2 years. We spent a long time in the edit, crafting and weaving the story because there was like 1,000 hours of archive to choose from. But we had a great team making the film. As you know, it ended up at Sundance, where it had a great reception.
And I guess in answer to your question, 20 years, it's 20 years this weekend since Christopher Reeve died. So we didn't really think about that when we started 3 years ago, talking to the family. But for them, it came at a point, the approach came at a point when they were ready. Their father had died 17 years ago at that point. They were ready emotionally to talk quite openly and honestly about what had happened. They were ready organisationally, logistically. They had the tapes, and they felt that with the team assembled, which was Passion Pictures, Misfits Entertainment, and our financiers, Words and Pictures, and the directors Ian and Peter, they felt this was the team that they wanted to make the film with. And amazingly, they trusted us. They handed over all their tapes, some of which they hadn't seen themselves. They sat for very long interviews, and they agreed between the three of them that they would not leave anything out. They would be completely honest, more than they had even spoken with each other. And you'll see in the film, those interviews are devastatingly moving. And then they trusted us. They left us. It was about 6 months before we saw them again, and we showed them the film. Terrifying to see what they thought. And luckily, they felt their trust was rewarded. They had some thoughts and comments, some of which we did do and some we didn't. And in the end, the kids are super proud of the film, pun intended.
I guess, when someone has played such an iconic role, people feel like they really know the whole story about someone. Where do you even begin with telling the story? And for you, was it also kind of going on a journey of learning, about their family, about his past, about, his full life, rather than just perhaps what we've read in the press before?
Well, we knew very little about his personal story before making the film. We knew that he was this iconic actor associated with this huge role. But what we learned was that he was a family man. There's a lot of love in the film because his relationship with Dana was so beautiful and authentic. And you see that in the children as well. That's his legacy. And so I think the film, we really wanted to show the real person, the flaws as well. The children didn't want this to be a celebrity puff piece just celebrating him. They wanted it to be authentic.
And what I found so moving when we first saw a rough cut was one of the sections where, because Chris voiced his own autobiography before he died, so it's all in his voice, a lot of the film, and he speaks about all the thoughts going through his mind after the accident. Why didn't I put my hands down? I fucked my life. Like, I'm never going to make love to my wife again. I'm never going to cuddle my child again. And it's these things that you just haven't seen people who've had these accidents say before. And to have someone of Christopher Reeve's status and this huge celebrity to be saying these very honest thoughts, it's incredibly moving. And as Robert said at Sundance, I mean, there was ugly man crying left, right and centre. It was just such a moving screening, and we hope to have that at LFF tonight for our premiere.
In that sense, do you see it as much a story about Christopher Reeves as much as it is about anyone who encounters this kind of accident what it's like as a family to have to cope with that, the sort of psychological journey might go on, and for a spotlight and the reality of life for people who do have disabilities.
Yes, the disability angle was really important in the film. Even though it was a small part of his life, people kind of associate him with that. But his legacy through the foundation is to help people and to improve people's lives. So it was really important to have that in the film, and you see that in the coda at the end of the film. It's all about legacy. First Dana took over, and then his children took over the foundation, and the aims of improving people's lives.
And I think just to add to that, everyone knows Christopher Reeve is the star of the film, but actually Dana Reeve, his wife, is the star of the film, and she was his carer. And I think a lot of people's responses have been about, I think 1 in 5 people in the world is a carer of somebody else. And so the responses from audiences, these are often unrecognised roles, often people who from morning till evening are looking after someone else and putting other needs first. And so for the film to celebrate Dana and to show what she did and how hard it was for her, quite honestly, I think that's almost been more emotional for people than to see what Christopher Reeve went through.
And of course, maybe just special mention of this friendship that was there between him and Robin Williams. And of course, because of the tragedy surrounding him as well, perhaps that's something that can really touch people. And, what an amazing person he was. People might have not known that they had that friendship.
Yes, I wasn't aware of the strong friendship between Christopher Reeve and Robin Williams until we started making the film. They were roommates at Juilliard. There's lots of footage, and of course they're a hilarious combination because Chris was 6'4" and Robin Williams was not. And Robin was just so, energetic and kind of hyper. But the film really shows how moving that friendship was, and that Marsha Williams as well was a huge part of the family's life. And after Christopher's accident, Robin and Marsha Williams would put on a party every year on the day of the accident, bring in a chef, bring in drinks, and celebrate life, and have dancing. And Glenn Close says in the film she believes that if Christopher Reeve was alive, then Robin Williams would still be alive. Just very moving.
Thank you so much for sharing all that with me, and huge congratulations on the film. Enjoy your premiere tonight.